Have you ever looked at your running plan and thought, what do those terms mean? Things like tempo, fartlek, intervals, recovery, easy run. Well, you're not alone. Even the really experienced runners can sometimes look at a plan and be a bit baffled about what these terms are. You know, am I actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing kind of questions going on in your head? Well, fear not. I'm here to give you a little guide to all those terms and to decipher what everything means so that you can go out and run and be confident that you are doing what you're supposed to be doing. So who am I? I'm Coach Nicola and I'm a running coach and women's fitness specialist. I created this YouTube channel to help runners get fitter, faster and stronger and run with more confidence when they're out on the road, the track or the trail. First off, let's start with pace. Now you're probably quite familiar with this term, you probably know what it means, but just in case, let's get it out there so that we know we've got a baseline, we know what we're talking about. So at its simplest, pace is the speed that you're running at. This is usually measured in minutes per kilometre or minutes per mile, depending whether you prefer the metric or the imperial system when you're running. The key about pace is understanding your pace and controlling it, and a lot of what you'll be doing in your training is to kind of help you get that perfect pace understanding and good feel for a pace. Now moving on to effort. There are many ways to measure effort, and the way that I prefer to do it is with the rate of perceived exertion scale, or the RPE scale. This is a scale between 1 and 10, where 1 is you've just woken up, completely effortless, you're sitting on the sofa, you're really lovely, calm, no stress whatsoever, and 10 is maximal effort. I sometimes say 10 is like you're running through a woods and there's a bear chasing you. It's that kind of real, like, all out effort to get away from that bear. I've had some runners tell me what they like to think about is last orders at the pub. So you're running to the bar. So whatever makes sense to you to kind of visualize that 1 to 10 effort. 1 is completely relaxed, 10 is maximal effort. Why I like to use the RPE scale is that it allows for daily changes in your training. So you can work at the same effort on a day that you're feeling great. You might be running faster. You can work at the same effort on a day that you're feeling sluggish. You might be running a bit slower. You can run at the same effort on a day when it's really hot and just muggy. But the whole thing is that you're running at the same effort. You know that's the effort that you're putting in. So it kind of doesn't matter about the pace so much. The pace may change depending on the day. And it's a way of kind of adjusting yourself to think, okay, my body isn't a machine. It's not going to run at the same pace forever when I want it to. There will be days when I've not had enough sleep. There will be days when I'm a bit dehydrated. There will be days when I'm a bit stressed, and there will be days when I've got none of those and it's the best day ever and I'm going to have a fantastic run and I might run a bit faster. So that's why I like to use RPE rather than kind of giving a pace guideline or for efforts. I think that's a really good way to do it. Now the first thing I want to talk about is your easy runs. Easy runs are designed to be easy. Seems a bit simple to say that, but they're low intensity, comfortable runs. They're runs where you could go out and you could run for 30 minutes and actually when you finish you could think, I could do that again, you know, just easy, comfortable. You could have a long conversation with a friend, you could have a really in-depth conversation with a friend and it would still feel comfortable. So that's your easy pace. On that RPE scale, you're looking at between a 3 and a 4 effort for an easy run. Lots of runners run easy runs too quickly. So if you think maybe that's me, I want to give you a little bit of a challenge, and for your next easy run, just try running a little bit slower and just see, does that feel more comfortable? Is that a pace that you could actually carry on with for a lot longer? And if it is, then try and do all your easy runs with that same sort of effort, that same sort of slower, more comfortable pace. Next, I want to talk about steady runs. Steady runs are a moderate effort run. They are still within your comfort zone, but you're working just a little bit harder than your easy run. And I think this is the kind of the effort level, the pace level that a lot of runners actually run their easy runs in. So yeah, keep that in mind when you're going through this, thinking, oh, is this steady or is this easy? A lot of runners will run easy at steady. So just something to be aware of. The RPE for steady runs is between a 5 and 6. So your breathing is still comfortable, it's still rhythmic, but if you're having a conversation with a friend, it might not be so flowing. It might be kind of, you're doing a couple of sentences rather than a whole paragraph of speech. Or some people like to think of it as you could have a conversation in these short sentences, but you couldn't sing. So that's your moderate effort runs. That's your steady run. Steady runs help you maintain a challenging but sustainable pace or sustainable effort. They're really good at building that aerobic fitness and that little bit of aerobic endurance without being too fatiguing. So they're a really good kind of run to have in your training plan, whatever kind of distance that you're doing. Next, I want to talk about tempo runs. A tempo run or a threshold run or a lactate threshold run, they've all got kind of different names, but they're all the same thing. They are a comfortable, hard, sustained effort. So it's a comfortably hard. It's an effort where you can run for the distance that's set. So maybe it's a 20-minute tempo run. You can run for 20 minutes at that effort, but you couldn't run further, or it might be shorter intervals of tempos. You can run for that set amount of time or distance at that effort, but you couldn't really run any longer than that. The RPE for tempo runs is between a 7 and 8, sometimes a kind of a 6, 7 to 8, depending on kind of whether it's a hard tempo run coming up into that lactate threshold. Sometimes they're called threshold runs, the harder tempo runs, or just your normal tempo run. But either way, it's a comfortably hard effort. What these runs are designed to do is to increase your lactate threshold. So it keeps you below that level of where that lactic acid would start to build up and would cause muscle fatigue. So they train your body to maintain your pace for a longer effort and so build that speed endurance. Coming on to your long runs. Now this, you might think, well, that's just your longest run of your training period, isn't it? And it is. It usually is your longest run. And the idea with your long runs is that they're building that endurance that you need for whatever goal you have. So depending on your goal, depends how long your run is. So your long run might be a 10k, your long run might be a half marathon, your long run might be 20 miles, depending on what your goal is. Long runs are designed to build endurance, but they also help you to prepare mentally for your race. And they help you to experiment with any nutrition that you might want to take on your race. It helps you to try out different clothing or different equipment that you might want to take with you. So they're really good, not only to build that endurance, but they're good sort of test runs to do before your actual race day to make sure that you're mentally and physically prepared for your race. Coming on to a recovery run. Now, recovery runs are usually done the day after a long run, a hard workout, or a race. They're short, easy paced runs designed just to get the blood flowing, to kind of help your body recover. What they do is they help your body to recover without putting any additional stress on your body, because you're keeping it at that easy pace, and you're keeping it short as well. Recovery runs will help your body to adapt to your training and help you to maintain your running routine. So sometimes after a race you can think, oh, I just really don't want to run anymore, and then that not running extends and you find, you know, you've gone a month without running. So having these recovery runs can just get you back into that routine so you don't lose the habit. So now we have an idea of pace and effort and what kind of the pace might mean on that RPE scale. Let's move on to running workouts and what they mean. So first off, let's talk about intervals. So interval workouts are where you have periods of harder, high intensity running interspersed with easier recovery running. What you're doing for intervals will depend completely on your goal, what you're running for, how experienced you are. But to give you an idea, you can have them done by time or you can have them done by distance. So you might do a 30-second hard sprint followed by 2 minutes recovery, or 800-meter hard run followed by 800 meters recovery. So as I said, it depends on your goal and kind of how long you've been running for and how experienced you are at doing the interval runs. Obviously, if you're a newer runner or haven't done this kind of speed work, you want to start at the kind of lower intensity, lower sort of number of reps of these intervals that you do. The more experienced you are, you can go for longer and longer both in distance and time, I suppose, and how hard it is. This type of workout is all about building your speed and improving your fitness. The high intensity effort helps to build your cardiovascular system, and then the recovery helps everything to recover. The RPE for that high intensity period of the intervals is like an 8 to 10, more likely an 8 to 9. It's very, for the shorter distance, like 100 meters or so, it might come up to that sort of RPE 10, but in general, sort of 8 to 9, and kind of almost maximal effort, but yeah, very hard. But then you've got that period of recovery where you're going to take it very easy at that 3 to 4 effort, or even walk it if you need to make sure that you're fully recovered, so that when you do your next interval, you can maintain that same sort of 8 to 9 to 10 effort. Both tempo and steady runs can be done as intervals. So you might have a workout where you do a tempo, 2-minute tempo, 2-minute easy, or 2-minute steady, 2-minute easy, or something similar. So they both can be done as intervals, but they're just done at the tempo or the steady effort, not at the high intensity effort. Progression runs. These are runs where you increase the speed, so you progress the speed. It might be done sort of time, so you might do sort of a 10-minute run and then increase for another 10 minutes and another 10 minutes, or it might be done sort of half and half, or it might be done by distance. But whatever it's done, it is kind of progressing the speed, so you're getting faster and you're finishing faster than you started off. It's similar to a tempo run in that it's that comfortably hard, or overall it's that comfortably hard run. And like a tempo run, it helps to build endurance. One of my favourite types of progression run is an out and back, where you'll go out at that sort of easy, steady pace for like 10-15 minutes or a couple of kilometres, and then you turn around and come back, so the same way, and you're aiming to get back quicker than you went out. So that's like quite a nice half and half progression run, and you've kind of got a target, and it's a good fun one to do. So if you've never tried a progression run, do try out an out and back run, and try for a 10-minute out, 10-minute back. That's a nice one to start with. Hill repeats. Quite simply, they are intervals done on a hill. So you're either going up, very occasionally you might be running hard down, but not as often as you'll be running hard up. The distance can be short or long, depending on your goal, depending on whether you've got a really hilly race coming up. And the whole thing about hill repeats is that they're not just good for people who run hills a lot, they're good for people who run on the flat, because they're working the muscles that you need for running. They're building your power, it's building your stamina, it's building your endurance, and all around, hill repeats are a really good thing to do. You don't have to start off with many, sort of 3 to 4 repeats or intervals going up the hill, and then a nice gentle easy walk or gentle run down to recover is all you need to do. And then as you progress, as you get stronger running, you might want to increase the number of intervals that you do, or the number of reps that you do. And finally, I wanted to talk about fartleks, or speed play. So this is a type of interval run where you play around with the speed. So it's not like a set speed, like you're kind of running fast for 800 meters and then your recovery interval. It's very much kind of a mix and match, vary your speed, vary your intensity throughout the whole of the fartlek session. Some people really like this, some people don't. It can be unstructured, and quite often in a running program it will be an unstructured fartlek run where you just have to vary your speed throughout the session. So it might be that you run to a tree, you run easy to a tree, and then you sprint to the next tree, and then you run steady to the next tree, and then you run easy, and then you run a tempo, and then you run steady again. So it's really mixing up the whole kind of pace that you're running throughout the run. You can also make it very structured. So if you prefer to have a structured fartlek session, you would do the same, but you might do it either in distance or time. So you might say, I'm going to run 2 minutes easy, 2 minutes steady, 1 minute at tempo, 1 minute hard, and then back to that steady running. for 2 minutes, and then steady running for, tempo running for 2 minutes. So you've got a structure, but you're still varying the speed, and that's the important thing about fartlek. So it can be unstructured, often they are for runners, but it can also be structured, and you can give yourself that structure. You want a little bit of recovery, you want the varied of intensity, and overall you want that effort to be between 5 and 8 on that RP scale. So you're kind of keeping in that steady tempo run session. So you might have sections where you run easy, where you're running that 3 or 4, but they won't be like the majority of your session. The majority of the session, the overall effort will be between that 5 and that 8. So I hope this video has helped to decipher those common but sometimes confusing running terms. There are a lot of kind of words that are running jargon that's out there, and sometimes you know what they mean, and sometimes you're not quite sure, and it's nice to have like a kind of a little guide just to go, okay, I know what I'm doing. And that just means that you can be more confident when you're going out running, when you're going out for your workout. You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and you can be confident in feeling that you're running at the right pace, at the right effort, and doing the right type of workout, as you should be doing. And that will mean that you get to your goal faster, you improve your fitness, you improve your running overall. I want to know if there's anything I missed out. Are there any terms that I haven't covered? If there are, just comment below and let me know. And if you found this video helpful, please do like, please do comment below, and also please do subscribe for more running tips from me, Coach Nicola.